So it's summer for me. I'm here, I'm back, I'm ready to make videos, and I just wanted to have some fun today and try something different because I love watching people go through music brackets on YouTube. It's always entertaining, but there is no, actually zero prog representation for anything like that, except for maybe the occasional Dream Theater bracket, and not exactly a band that I'm big on, which we can get onto later. But Soen are one of my favorite bands, and they are a group that has gained an even more special place in my heart as I've continued to see them live, because they have incredible stage presence, incredible energy, and despite the fact that they have quite a few more monthly listeners than most of the bands that I've looked at on this channel, there is very, very little representation of them on YouTube. So I thought maybe I'll go in with them first, and I'll do my first bracket with Soen songs and try to figure out my favorite one, at least at the moment, because as it stands, especially when I was trying to compile which songs to throw in for this bracket, it was extremely hard for me, and my heart doesn't have a favorite at the moment. So I really will be picking this just in real time. We'll pull up the bracket here, and we will be able to hear clips from the songs as well. So it'll make the decision process a lot easier, and let's jump into this first matchup. All right, so first off, we're starting with the song that really got Soen on the map, their first true hit in Savia off of the Cognitive album, which was probably overall their most, outside influenced project, the most Tool adjacent. But that's the song that got them on the map, and that's the song from the album that they still remain playing and always play live. And then we got one of the newer cuts, singles off of their album from last year, Memorial, which is a solid track, and that riff really hit when they played it live, but their weakest album for me, just by far the least progressive and pushes the least boundaries. And I can somewhat understand, going more commercial for an album that tackles the things that they're talking about, these huge topics that they want to get out there. If they want to make them very stadium anthem choruses, things that unite people to sing along with. But overall, I just hope they don't keep going down this road. But after two albums like that with Imperial, which I do think is slightly better, but they're just keep going down that road. And I don't think I need to play the tracks for this one. Savia is just a better song. Another tough break for a Memorial track here, because I do love Unbreakable, even though that chorus, the first time I heard it, unfortunately my reaction was blocked. I had recorded a reaction to it last year, but the processing on the vocals, I was just like, wow, that is something very modern for Soen. But I love that chorus, and one of my favorites on the new album. But Lotus is unbelievable. It's beautiful, gorgeous. Pink Floyd influences, sure, but it is so uniquely them, and it was so good that they use it as the blueprint for 4 other songs. You got Illusion, and I forget the name of it off of the new album as well, but they have so many songs that they just took that recipe for because it was so good, so successful. And the art and the music video is just beautiful, so definitely go check out that music video if you haven't. Lotus is probably one of their more digestible tracks. It's not heavy, it's definitely more of a ballad, so that's a great gateway into the band. And super melodic, but Lotus will absolutely be going through there. Jin versus Lumerian. We got the opening track off of Imperial with one of the nastiest riffs on the album, and Jin is just so inspired. It feels like one of the biggest risks they took in a song, and it clearly paid off. That's an album that unfortunately they don't play much from live as well, which is sad for me because I'll throw that spoiler out there. I do think after all this time that is my favorite Soen album, Lakaya, but that is a song that they do continue to play as well. They played it in LA at the Troubadour, and just those kind of foreign influences coming in there, those Middle Eastern parts, especially during the outro and the way that influences the riff before, that bass groove, the stop and stutter in that intro, it's so haunting. I think I'm gonna have to lean it, but let's give it a listen actually. They kind of played my least favorite part of the song here for this example, but it does go into the chorus. Oh, not yet with the fill. But the chorus in this song is absolutely it sticks to your soul. And it's one of the few choruses that they have that I can actually sing, and I won't crack my voice like crazy. Beautiful. Absolutely triumphant chorus. Very different, and an example of one that I absolutely cannot sing for the life of me. I will say better production on Imperial for sure, too. Higher production, but it's gonna have to be Jin. It's gonna have to. It's such a beautifully creative song. Delenda vs. Koniskas, I think that's how you say it. I'm not entirely sure. I do like Delenda, and I've been getting more into that track recently. Just kind of the groove it has, the way it circulates in the intro. Excellent drumming. But Koniskas is one of my favorite songs on a top 3 Soen album for me. You could argue that the first album is in there as well. It's arguable that their first 3 are their best 3, but I think I'd have to edge Lotus. I love that song, and that album is so incredibly underrated. That kind of pocket they go into after that second chorus, I guess you could call it a bridge, but just that. I'll try to find it on Spotify here, because I don't think that's going to be the clip they're going to play. Yeah, I got to find this section. This part is just ridiculous. Some of the drumming is just like this groove. Such a beautiful pocket, and the way they transition back out into that kind of triumphant outro. I love this part. Some more kind of underground Soen, but I love this song, and I'm just gonna have to move it through once again. Koniskas over Delenda for me. Antagonist vs. Dissident, both tracks off of their Imperial album. I think Dissident gets overhated, or not overhated, but it is an underrated track. It probably should have been one of the singles for me, and I think it's one of the best on the album. That riff that comes in 3 or 4 minutes into that end of the song, just 16th note barrage, beautiful. The chorus is chunky. It is just, the bass is so high in the mix, and I love that song. I love Antagonist too. Antagonist might even be my favorite song on the album, and they do love playing that one live as well. That was in the encore. Just, this is a tough decision. Okay, maybe it's not that hard. Antagonist rules. It probably is my favorite song on the album. I think this song is great too, but it's Antagonist, isn't it? It just is. No, okay. Well, we got Sincere versus Lucidity, and I was really hoping Sincere would get kind of some sort of a layup here, because that's easily my favorite song on the new album. And I love that part where he's like, "You're feeding us to the hounds," and that riff that comes in. But Lucidity is going to be hard to beat, I think, on this whole bracket. Similar to Lotus in the way that it is a softer ballad kind of a track, but just so delicate and soulful and angelic, and the way the vocals just kind of wrap around you, they tickle you, like, and that guitar solo, it just like plucks at your heartstrings. Okay, all right, so we are actually going to get a song from the new album going through, because they're playing each other, so I don't really have a choice here. These are 2 of the songs that weren't singles and 2 of the songs that weren't played at the concert. But I do really like both. I think they're 2 of the stronger songs in the album. Extremely different. Vitals can be somewhat compared to Lucidity in the way it's kind of more of a swing, kind of soulful song. Reminds me of like something Seal would write in a weird way. One that I haven't listened to all that much just because it is that sad. I have been playing Fortress a lot. I think that opening riff is crunching. And I think one of the coolest guitar solos in the new album. That's some of the best props I can give the new album. The solos, the riff writing, the guitar tone, just everything came together nicely, crisply. The solos are incredibly well written. I mean, beautiful singing performance, and I do generally think Joel's vocals are better in these slower songs. Chorus is super triumphant. This one's difficult, but Fortress. We're edging Fortress. And the last matchup on the left side of the bracket here is Thurifer versus Sectarian. I think I'm going to be bringing in a bit of a hot take here, but let's just give some listens. This song is just a beautiful encapsulation of what Lakaya is as an album. It lays up and sets up the album so well. A great taste of what all the different sounds you might get. Some of those kind of more Middle Eastern, foreign inspired riffs and licks, very unusual tunings and finger patterns, excellent drumming, the standard triumphant power chord chorus, but just riff after riff, incredible song. With the lies that we teach. We're gonna hit this riff. We're gonna hit this riff. Oh my, oh shit. Yeah, I'm just gonna put this out there. I have no idea how Thurifer didn't make the actual cut for the album for Lotus. That song is easily good enough to be one of the first few songs on there. Being a bonus track, I won't blame if they did write it later or if it just didn't fit in conceptually, but that song is ridiculous and I would give anything to hear them play it live, but I just don't see it happening. And it also kind of holds a place in my heart because one, that's like one of the main songs that ended up getting me into them because I saw it as a new release when it came out. But it feels like the last song they put out that was truly progressive at its core and interesting, different time signatures, lots of experimentation in the riffs and the structure of the song. Because this actually came out after Imperial, which is giving me more hope for the future, for a more progressive future from them. But this song is so incredibly underrated because most Soen fans probably haven't even heard this as it's, it's a bonus track added later. But Thurifer is unbelievably good and is going to make a serious push here. Some of the riffs in here, like I honestly think it might have like their 3 best riffs overall, and the way the verses and the choruses move in and out of each other. The song's incredible. Go listen to it if you haven't heard it. And moving on to the right side of the bracket here, we're starting off with Tabula Rasa versus Illusion, which would have been a really easy pick for me a few months ago, but after that concert and the way I was preparing for everything, Illusion really kind of took a special place in my heart. Something about the melodies in there and the message behind it, that video really, really captured me with the girl and everything. So this is going to be a tough one. I want to listen to these, but Tabula Rasa is the song where I found Soen. I was watching a reaction to that song and I thought they had a very interesting sound to them, the textures in it all, and I ended up having to come back to them a few years later to truly appreciate them, but that was my gateway into the band. The thing I really like about this is hearing Thurifer after, it feels like a kind of more mature version of this song. They built upon all of the great elements of this with better production, better riff writing, a stronger chorus, but this laid the groundwork for all of that, so I think this is a really important song in their catalog. Excellent solo writing in this song, and again, kind of one of those songs building off of the structure of Lotus. This is one I love singing, and it might just be the production that edges out Illusion over Tabula Rasa. It's hard for me. I do play Illusion a lot more, and I don't see Imperial getting many spots in the higher rounds of this bracket, so I think I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Or am I? Maybe I'm not. This is hard. These are 2 great songs, and I think this seriously could go either way, but I'm gonna go Illusion. We're edging Illusion, and we're not moving back. We're not looking back. It happened. We picked it. It's done. Opal versus Void. This is extremely difficult for me because these are 2 excellent albums and 2 extremely underrated songs. I know Opal is another one of those songs off Lakaya that they do really like to play. My favorite part of that song is that verse, the little ride bell groove that opens up onto the open hi-hats. That part's super driving and cool. Void has become one of my favorite songs though on Tellurian, and just the way it's structured, the verses again, it is so layered kind of with those tambourines, the patterns, and it lays the song up super well for all the transitions because it's super bouncy and the way it just kind of throws something out there, throws out a riff or a chorus, and it's structured in a super kind of loose way, but it strings everything together so you don't even realize that you got somewhere after a while. You're like, wait, how'd we get here? We kind of built all this stuff up, and I just think it's an incredibly well-written song. So this one might be difficult too. My one problem with this song and this album is just it desperately needs to be remastered. That's what I think about a lot of early Soen, but somehow I actually think their first album sounds better overall than this album. But the bass and everything does sound great. It's just the drums sound a little bit flat, a little bit warbly, but that's something that got so much better over time. Like, I think Lotus might be my favorite album ever in terms of drum sound and tone, but that song, one of their longest too, one of the only times where they really went out and tried to write kind of an epic, and I think they pulled it off. We're gonna go Void. We're gonna edge Void on this one. Okay, well, they set me up right before the chorus. It's gonna give it a bigger chance. You better believe I was screaming this one loud live. Boy. Oh, and I love Deceiver. Like, I sing that song a ridiculous amount in my room, and I play it a lot. The production, some of the riffs. So I'm gonna have to give that song my dearest apologies because it is Covenant. It just is a better song. It just is. Horizon versus Inuri. Jesus. These are two that I would have genuinely pitted to be like Final 8 or Final 4. This is messed up. And Nui, arguably my favorite song on Tellurian, and Horizon is up there on Lakaya, because the way those riffs with the triplets and the I don't know exactly what they're called, but those kind of rolls in the riff, but the way it chugs along, the bass tone when they break into that pre-chorus is so fuzzy and chunky, it's ridiculous. So Horizon has that nice slow section at the end too, which is just beautiful, opening up onto the ride bell, lots of empty space, that guitar solo. Like, this song has everything. It has incredible balance. Actually a very similar chorus to the last one. I don't think it's gonna play the verse, so I'm actually gonna pull that one up, because just that is everything that I love about this song and everything that I wish they would have kept doing. The way they structure this part, like, just so jumpy, it kind of folds over on itself. I think this is one of the coolest grooves I've ever heard in a song. Horizon was like one of my absolute favorites for a long time, like top 3 for them, but just as I've grown to appreciate their other albums even more, and Nui has become a serious sleeper for me. I think it's incredibly underrated. I'm gonna have to go with it. I think it is the better song. Paragon versus Lunacy, that one hurts too. Man, why is this side of the bracket so much stronger overall? Like, the other side, I felt like I was breezing through that one. Paragon, again, ending the like official version of Lakaya, but on the, on the remastered, they have more bonus tracks and everything, but that's the official end. And that drop that they throw in after such a soulful and sorrow ballad with those organs and the way those bar chords just vibrate through like waves, like a serious wall of sound of a song, but incredibly written song, very similar to Lucidity in a way, and how I view it, like so close to my heart. That song is just beautiful. But Lunacy, I've grown so much appreciation for recently. That chorus, the pre-chorus as well, like it's not often that a song will have a pre-chorus and a chorus that could have been their own standalone chorus that are incredibly catchy, and the riff writing in this song is so diverse. It's harsh, and people might not agree, but I don't think I have to listen to this one. Paragon is a few levels above for me in the way it's written. Listen to the sorrow and the pain in this guitar solo. The way it builds is ridiculous, and so much satisfaction in having a drop at the end. Songs like Lucidity or Lotus, their climax is a solo, but in this, we got solos like this that build up to a full-on breakdown, so it's Paragon for me. Purpose versus Vitriol. I don't think this is that difficult for me either, because Purpose is one of the most underrated songs in their whole discography. And I'm seeing, as I look through this, we kind of look through it, I mean, I don't think I'm picking a lot of the commercial picks or the fan favorites here. This really is my bracket, because I don't know how many people would pick Purpose here. That song, though, rediscovering it a few weeks ago, really flicking through their first album, that song jams, man. This song is an absolute driver. Oh, got the lyrics wrong there. They changed it second time, forgot, but I love how dirty the riffs are in the song and just the way it's written. I want to go pull up that first verse too, because they open that song on such a drive. Like, it's such a driving song. I love this so much. I do love Vitriol, but there are parts to it that I don't really like that much. The way they kind of structured the verse, the beat, and the chorus doesn't do that much for me. I do definitely understand why it's a bonus track on the album, but I did throw it on here just to give it some credit, because I think it has the best riff on the entire album. Go ahead and tell me this riff isn't insane. I will die on this hill. And this is what I mean saying they kind of just, they never wrote riffs like this again after, maybe on songs kind of like Lunacy, but these high, like, sprawling arpeggios on the higher register of the guitar add so much character to these riffs, and it is just so good. But yeah, it's purpose. Lascivious verse Osculation. This side of the bracket's messed up, bro. This is like Osculation, I think I'm saying that right. Another song that I rediscovered recently, these riffs are brutal, and the chorus is so, like, I love just the way it kind of bounces off itself. That kind of off-kilter ride groove. It's so bouncy, but it's those riffs, the heaviest they've probably ever written. Just those double bass grooves are relentless on that. I think it's drop D. And this chorus just gets stuck in my head all the time, right here. But Lascivious, man, like, Soen made a metal song danceable. That verse is so smooth and buttery, just like moving around in that. And he feels that way too. When they play it live, he looks around at the crowd, he gets down, he's like, all right, LA, I want to see you move.
But this time, dear, this time when I went to play right, dance the baby on the medicine side, from deep back.
He gets into that one. One of the best balanced, best mixed tracks in their discography. I would say there are a few songs that could give it a run for its money that we'll get into later, but easily one of the best on the album and one of my favorite Soen songs, so I think this one has to go. And we're finishing off with Penance versus Kuraman, and I do love Penance. I like the string element that they throw into it, and the verses do feel a little bit more hopeful than most of their songs, the way they kind of escalate and ascend. But Kuraman is also, I think it's the second Soen song I heard, because I kind of, after hearing Tabula Rasa, I went into that album for the first time. And with fresh ears now, I already appreciated it, but just hearing it again after so many years and the way it's built on me, I love that song and the way it's structured, and I do think I definitely prefer it. So we're going to end with Kuraman here, going through. We have Savia versus Lotus. I have tremendous respect for what Savia did for them as a band and how much that has stood the test of time as one of their best songs and the fan favorites, but I think Lotus might be that kind of more commercial song of theirs, the fan favorite that is gonna go far in this bracket, because it is, if I had to pick a Soen song, maybe with Lucidity, that is just undeniably good, and it is generally, when I think about that, it's their softer songs. They are just such a beautiful touch on those softer songs, but Lotus is just Lotus, so I think it has to go through. And I don't know if that's harsh on Savia, but I make the rules, so it's Lotus. Jin versus Koniskas. I think this is where the road ends for Koniskas. Jin is just so incredibly written. It's so diverse, and everything that I said about it in the first round still applies. I love Koniskas, but I think Jin, in a way, feels like it takes some of the best parts about the structuring of the verses, the choruses, everything in that song, and makes it better. They built on it and improved upon it on the next album, and it really is one of their coolest songs. So Jin goes through here. Antagonist versus Lucidity is a wash for me, even though you could argue that these are my two favorite songs on their respective albums, Antagonist on Imperial and then Lucidity for Lucaya, but I think there is a serious quality gap between those albums, and I love Antagonist. I think it deserves to be ranked among their best songs, and definitely one of their best concert songs, their best live songs. The crowd really gets into that one, and they sound great playing it, but Lucidity made me cry in LA when they played it, with everyone waving their flashlights around. Just, they didn't play it the second time, but getting to have that moment just once, that slow swinging beat, his velvety vocals just over everything, and Cody's solo was really, like, especially after hearing it live, Lucidity has to take this one, no questions asked. Fortress versus Thurifer. We did get there in the end. Fortress got to the second round. We got something off of Memorial there, so if there are any huge Memorial fans here hoping that some of their songs go far, I would say this is far enough, because there are some amazing songs that got knocked out in that first round. This might be another hot take. I'm taking Thurifer. Well, I don't know if that's the hot take, but I think this might be my easiest pick in the whole round. This is such a quality gap for me. Everything about how the song is written, how it sounds, how it's layered, the riffs are better, the chorus is better, Thurifer is better. It's better. And now onto the right side, we got Illusion and we got Void. And I immediately don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. This is stuff. The one thing that's making me not lean towards Illusion right now is the fact that I'm realizing this is the only song left from Imperial, and that just doesn't sit right with me in a way. And I love this song, but I'm looking at songs that were taken out, like Antagonist or Deceiver, and I think they would have had more of a chance against Void, but I actually don't think I would have taken either of those over Void. So for that reason alone, Void is going to continue on. It's going to continue its tear into the final, is that final 8? Void, man, go check out that song if you haven't heard it. Just trust me on that one. Covenant versus Inui. I'm thinking about this one for a second, and Tellurian's a great album. I'm just going to say that. The groove on Inui is kind of unmatched in this situation for me. I love the way Covenant is structured, and it was a nice surprise when hearing Lotus, especially compared to everything else on the album. I think it beats out a lot of the songs on there, especially the heavier ones. It might even be the best, like, out-and-out heavy song on the album. I definitely prefer it to songs like Martyrs or the opening track that are more popular, but Inui deserves the respect that it gets, and it deserves more respect than it gets. That song is amazing. Another one I wish they would play live, and in the Elite 8, we have a matchup between probably my 2 favorite songs on Tellurian, so it's nice to see that album getting some love, even if it's just coming from me. But I'm telling you, if you haven't heard that album, it will be a nice surprise. It is definitely one of their best. Paragon vs. Purpose, Battle of the Peas, and I already don't know what to do because Purpose has like seriously shot so high up my rankings in the last few weeks. It was a song that I completely forgot about. It was also one of my favorite, not favorite, but one of my first Soen songs. I'm realizing after rediscovering it, it was the song from the first album that attached to me the most, and I think it is my favorite song on the first album. It really is like polar opposite to Paragon, especially in terms of like the BPM and the way it drives along, and the speed, the velocity, the riffs come in they're so angled and jagged, and then Paragon is just like laying out a blanket on you and it's just like caressing you everywhere. This is 2 extremely different songs. Do I even need to... I'm gonna give it its credit, but Paragon, man, that song, even just hearing that clip makes it difficult to pick Purpose here. This is hard. Shit, man. This feels like picking between children. Purpose, I love it, but I think the love affair with that song is too recent. Paragon is a song that I've loved for the longest time, and the balance in that track between soft and the heavy, the lush, I'm gonna take it. I need to stop thinking so hard about these, but that was the hardest pick in the whole bracket for me so far. I know it's only gonna get harder. And in the last matchup here, we have Cordomon versus Lascivious, and it's gonna have to be Lascivious. I do want to give it just a listen because we haven't heard anything from it yet. I do love Cordomon, but Lascivious is just one of their best written tracks. And I don't even think I talked about the chorus the first time because I'm so obsessed with the verses in that middle section where they bring it down for the guitar solo. But man, crowd was into this one, like this, and just the way they carry it forward with the ride groove. He is high up on that register, but this is a chorus that I will force myself to be able to sing when I'm there, and it almost breaks me every single time. I lose significant amounts of my voice, but everything about this song is so incredibly catchy and just addictive to listen to. It really hooks onto your soul. Lascivious, yeah, it's better. Final 8, Lotus and Jin. Ooh. We're listening. We're gonna have to. One of my favorite solos, especially seeing Cody really bust this one out live the first time when we saw them at the Troubadour. He was fully out on his knees, bending backwards, and it truly is a beautiful song. You can't find any faults in it. It's really hard to dislike a song like this from anyone. If this was from a more popular band, if Pink Floyd did write this song, I think it would be one of their biggest, for sure. It's so hard for me to pick against Jin, though. Jin makes a very convincing case because I do think it is more interesting and more creative, arguably a more captivating listen. Lotus just has that replayability. Like, I play it more, but Jin, every time it comes on, I can't turn it off. We're grasping at straws here. Like, there's so much to weigh. Probably better melodically for Lotus, better production, more replayable. Jin is more creative. It's more, I don't know if I should say interesting, but it's more unique. It pushes more boundaries, and I think it was more influential for them as a whole. But I can't pick against Lotus. I can't do it. Ah! Lucidity versus Thurifer. This, I didn't look ahead to these. Like, when I was going through those, I didn't even think about in my head that these were going to have to match up against each other. I think these might be my two favorite Soen songs. The fact that they're paired on that same side of the bracket. They can't even meet in the final 4. Like, we're getting one of those knocked out in the final 8. Thurifer is ridiculous. Lucidity is such a different song, but it's like Lotus, it is just undeniable. And a Lotus versus Lucidity matchup would be almost impossible. That would just... Why'd they play the heaviest part of the song? Like, play me some of that solo or the... I'm not gonna complain. I love every part of this song. The lush vocals, the harmonies. The best harmonies they ever did. And his best vocal construction in any song. How can you vote against this chorus or just deny this? One of my favorite riffs they ever did, and it was constructed into the chorus. This is easily my favorite chorus they ever wrote, because it's my favorite part of the song. And I know already heard it, but this riff right here is one of the best they constructed. The way those little syncopated eighth notes, like, they create that little bit of a harmonic. This pick is a matter of preference. It's a matter of mood. It's just like, it is so situational, it's not even funny. On a Thursday, a Sunday, a Monday, and a Tuesday, well, it is a Monday, but any day of the week, I could go the other way on this, and it feels incredibly wrong to pick against this song. But the upset is on the cards, and I'm going with Thurifer. You can hate it if you want, say whatever you like, but it happened. It happened. Void versus Anui. This one is a little bit simpler for me because we've kind of already established that these are my two favorite songs on the album, but Anui is my favorite. It stands out more than Void as a song. That groove is just undeniable. And Anui, a song from Tellurian, an album that people don't talk about all that much, it is making the push into the final 4. So we're going to have to see how far that does make it in the end. And we have Paragon versus Lascivious, which is brutal to say the least. They mirror each other in some ways. I think they're the only two songs that use that church organ that I absolutely love, both kind of in those middle sections. I love both of these songs and what they've done for shaping my music tastes. But I think this might be another upset for some people because Lascivious is just one of those songs that I think is undeniable. And production value, the danceable, like, I've seen so many people get into it. It was great seeing the crowd getting worked like they were when they played it. And I've never heard Paragon live, but that song, I would argue that it's on par with Lucidity. I think it's very, very, very close, and it honestly offers more as a build-up and a payoff. We're really like splitting hairs here to the finest margins, and I'm fine if any of you guys go the other way on this one, but for me, it's Paragon. I think it's Paragon. Final 4, Lotus and Thurifer, and then Anui and Paragon. And based on the way this bracket has gone, the way I've argued for both of these songs, I think you guys might know where I'm going with both of these, and I think these are actually potentially easier than some of the picks in the last round. It would make sense for Lotus to make the final, and I'm okay if it makes anyone else's brackets. Like, that song, I have no faults with it. And once we've reached this part in the bracket, it's hard to find faults in any of these songs. So any pick, it doesn't matter. Once again, splitting hairs. But I don't understand how it didn't make the actual cut for the album. I do think it's a better song, and I think it should make a case for being their best. So Thurifer, I'm going to be arguing for you in the final. You're making it over Lotus, and that's the way it's going to be. And as much as I love the song, I do think Inui is the only remaining song that has some slight faults to it in the production. I'm not an incredible fan of that intro with that sprawling double bass pattern, that riff, the way it transitions in. It is surprising, it catches you off guard, and it makes the transition into the verse even cooler, but it doesn't always sit right with me or feel like it fits the song entirely. So just for those little parts that kind of pull it down to maybe a 9.5 out of 10, I'm gonna have to edge Paragon, because I do think that song truly is a 10 out of 10 song. And with that, we've reached our final. Wow. Thoroughfare versus Paragon, two songs that are often forgotten by Soen fans, two songs that I will advocate for to the very end as their two best. I am completely fine with these two being in the final, and I really don't know what I'm going to pick. I don't know. This is a hard one, and I don't know how many people will be able to help me out with this, because I don't think this will be many people's final matchup, but let's just give it a listen here. I love the way this intro, it bounces off itself so well. It's really hard to find the one, and I actually think it's harder to find it once they bring in that hi-hat on the foot. Like, there's a part when they bring it back in, he's kind of bouncing on it. I'll go through there. But this verse as well, the power chords, super interesting, great drum groove, hitting all the accents and offbeats. It's just like music to my ears in every way. But out here, it doesn't feel right. Like, even when he is hitting the one, it makes me feel like that odd time signature is even more pronounced, which I think is super cool. And this chorus, man. They bring in those power chords to bring things back. It's less pronounced. And then when they come down with this riff, it just hits so hard. So incredibly written. One of the best riffs they've written. And the one after this as well. We got the one down here. This one too. Extremely bouncy, got that kind of more triplet-y feel where the other one was more linear, and just one of the best transitions you'll ever hear. Like, seriously, that one right there, the way it skips into itself, serious contender here. And honestly, I wish I got Virtue and EMDR on here, because all three of the bonus tracks for Lotus that they threw on extra could have easily been on the album. Fantastic songs. Then we got Paragon. And the way this one skips over itself as well. It's a lot more linear, but there's just kind of those extra offbeats that they don't quite hit, that extends it out and makes it feel a little bit more empty and desolate, which is exactly what they're going for. And I would argue a better vocal performance than Thoroughfare, because I do love these lower, softer, angelic vocals that just sweep through the song. And when they bring in that organ, you can't tell me that isn't just absolutely heart-wrenching. This song really does do something to me. It makes your skin crawl. Like, the emotional factor is here more than it is with Thoroughfare. In terms of just the emotion they pour into this, I think it's actually a case where the production being kind of lower end fits, because the emotions are just spilling out. It's muddled, it's raw. It is an extremely raw song. And for that, especially kind of in these parts, it just works. And for that, I have to give it a lot of credit. And then, of course, we have the drop, which makes everything in the song worth it. Just full on, 4 on the floor, kind of triplet style in that 6/8, and just brutal. Absolutely brutal. Incredible song. But at the end of the day, only one of these songs can be the winner. I can't pick both as much as I want to. And with everything that I've said in mind, with everything we've just gone over, I think I have to edge one. And I'm not normally a person who would not discount, but put the emotional value to the side just for songwriting. I am more of that emotional person. That's what I'm attached to. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy. But Thoroughfare, man, such an incredibly written song. Seriously, one of the best progressive metal songs I've ever heard. And that is going to be my winner of the bracket today. Thoroughfare, an extra, a bonus track, has taken the #1 spot of all Soen songs for me. And that's where we're going to have to leave it off today. Let me know what you thought of my bracket and the video, this video idea. I don't know if you guys want to see more brackets in the future, but I enjoyed making this. I feel like I was able to branch out a little bit more from what I normally do, and I have plenty of other bands that I want to go over and try to discover their one best song with, like a Riverside, Porcupine Tree, Vola. I have all those brackets made if we do want to do those. If you're interested in any of those, just let me know, because I had a lot of fun with this, and I want to hear every problem you guys have with my bracket, because I think I knocked down a lot of heavyweights early on, and my winner is not what anyone would have expected. So I want to hear what you guys think, if you agree, if you disagree, but for now, I will see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoy it.